Well, hello, everybody. My name is Molly McClelland. I'm the director of the Center for Student Success at Point Park University, and I wanted to welcome you today to a webinar specifically for students in majors in the Rowland School of Business. So we want to thank you for joining us today. We know that you have a lot of questions, and we're hoping that you can leave here today with all of those questions answered. So I'm going to take a second to pause and just introduce you to members of my team. Go ahead, Angelo.
My name is Angelo Gargaro, and I am the success coordinator for all the programs in the School of Business except for sports, art, and entertainment management. I am never successful at listing out the ones, although I do know the programs very well. I'm also the moderator and back scene guy for this webinar today.
Hi, I'm Judy Chanyi, and I'm the advisor for SAM in the School of Business. So everything that that Angelo is not. So okay. So welcome.
In so many ways. Hi, Angelo.
In so many ways.
It's so true. It's so true.
Angelo, I didn't mean it that way.
Is that scripted or off the cuff? So I am Mike Elko, and I'm the coordinator for Tutoring Services, and I'll talk to you a little bit today about the services we offer to you.
All right, and again, I'm Molly McClelland, and I just want to first give you an overview of what the center does, and then I will turn it over to Michael Elko to talk specifically about the resources available in tutoring and the writing centers. My Beagle has just joined us, so he'll be coming in for a quick game of fetch here, I'm sure at some point soon. So anyway, the Center for Student Success is a comprehensive advising center for undergraduate students. So we handle all of your course registrations. If you are thinking about taking courses at another institution, if you're registering at one of the local institutions that we have agreements with, if you decide to add a minor, if you decide to change your major, any of those sorts of processes run through the Center for Student Success. So those are the types of things that you'll want to give a shout if you have any questions about from the CSS team. We also provide academic support resources, which again, I said Michael will talk about, but there is another part of the advising picture that we also want to make sure that we introduce you to at Point Park. You're assigned both a student success coordinator who helps you with all of that technical business of being a college student. The faculty advisor is your professional and scholarly mentor, so you'll be assigned to a faculty advisor closer to the start of the semester. So you want to talk to them about things like networking and professional affiliations and internships and jobs and graduate school and all of those kind of next steps. So their relationship with students becomes increasingly more critical as you pass through and as you get closer to your professional experience. We do offer, as I said, a wide range of supports. I'm gonna turn things over to Michael Elko to talk to you about tutoring services that are available for undergraduate students at Point Park.
Okay, so thank you for the intro. As I said earlier, I'm the coordinator for Tutoring Services, and we're here to offer you assistance with your academics whenever you need that help. Please know that this resource is available to you, and we're committed to helping you succeed in your college endeavors. And here's what we offer. Before I tell you, we have the Writing Center and the Tutoring Center. So I'll talk a little bit about both centers, but I just want to say moving forward, you know, in the pandemic, we all moved to an online environment. We will still offer online help in the fall, but we also will have on-ground assistance. I think there's a consensus that, you know, we all learn better in person. So I want you to know that we will both have an on-ground presence and an online presence, you know, for your convenience. You'll be able to jump to either if you'd like. In the Tutoring Center, we offer academic support for about, I'm going to say about 60 to 70 courses during the academic year. Your schedules have already been created for you, and I can let you know that, you know, I think a lot of them have an accounting, isn't there, for your business students, Angelo? A lot of them have accounting. Is it 201 or 102 or what?
Accounting 210 and 220 are very popular in, I think, almost every program.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so we offer coverage for that, and we offer coverage for a wide variety of classes, and it's generally the courses that students struggle with most in their first or second year, and we offer coverage for upper level courses as well as you progress here at Point Park. The Writing Center is available to you, and the writing consultants at the Writing Center will offer you help in any stage of the writing process, from brainstorming to final draft. And also they will, even before we went online, you could always submit your work to be reviewed online, and that is definitely still available to you. I think, Angelo, do you have the link to the tutoring portal that maybe, oh, did you post it already? I don't have the chat up, I'm sorry.
It is in there right now. So
Okay.
yeah, everybody that's
Yeah.
looking, you should be able to see the link in there for the tutoring center.
Yeah, so it's that pointpark.mywconline.com. Please register for that service. Even if you don't need it, I'd like you to register for it, because you never know. You might not think you need it, but it'll just make it easier for you to make an appointment with a tutor or writing consultant if you are already registered. What else did I want to say? Oh, in addition to the Writing Center and Tutoring Center, we also offer help via academic coaching. Now, academic coaches are a little bit different than tutors in that they help a student holistically. Like if you're overwhelmed with the semester and you're struggling in all your classes and you need help with the executive functioning skills, we all could polish. You might be assigned an academic coach. Tutoring and Writing Center, you can make the appointment on your own. If you feel like you're becoming overwhelmed, or if we get word you're overwhelmed, we might reach out to you for academic coaching. Reach out to Angelo or Judy if you find yourself being overwhelmed by all your classes, because then we'll assess what you need and possibly connect you with an academic coach. Our physical location is in the same building where our suite is. So it's the 5th floor of West Penn. I know you don't really have a physical point of reference for that yet, but trust me, when you land on our campus, you'll know West Penn Hall. And
so many of your classes are in West Penn, so you can't get away from us.
The School of Business is, and just a little thing to let you know, West Penn is 2 buildings that are fused together. So when you walk into it, there's a bank of elevators when you go in. That takes us up to our suite, only to the 5th floor. But most of your classes, I think many of their classes are on the other side of West Penn, which is what, how many stories? I don't know.
Is that 13?
Yeah, lucky number 13. Yeah, I think, or more. So we're a handy physical location. You can shoot from your class and go into a tutoring session if need be, or go back to your dorm or wherever you're living, and you can go online and hook up with a tutor. Bottom line is, and the most important thing is, we're here to help. Don't be afraid to reach out if you need it. Don't let foolish pride get in your way, and because we're here to help, to make you succeed. And that's my shtick for this session.
Thank you, Michael. And I think that you raise a good point, and one that I'll want to emphasize, is I know it's a burning question for everybody. So the plan for Point Park currently is to be fully on ground in the fall. As of now, we don't have any requirements for vaccinations to be on campus. That's not to say that that won't change, but we are certainly encouraging students to get vaccinated so that they can be full participants in the university community. We certainly all missed that ourselves last year, and we know that our students have as well. So, that's kind of where things stand at present. That being said, we learned quite a bit about what works for students and what doesn't. And we do know that for some processes, and certainly for some courses, that a remote experience works really well. So we've done a lot of work at the CSS to make sure that we're able to provide the same services that we do on ground to our students virtually. It's been really helpful for students who commute to campus to kind of not have to make another trip or a special trip. So we're mindful of the ways that helps students to be effective and efficient with all of the other responsibilities that they have, and to help minimize their costs. So in any of our services, whether it's an advising appointment, a tutoring appointment, or anything in between, we are happy to jump on a call and see you all in this virtual space as well, if that works better for you. And with that, I think it's time to open the floor up for any questions that students and families might have.
All right, so before we begin with that, I put some housekeeping stuff in the chat, but I'll just reiterate here. To ask a question, you will go to the GoToWebinar control panel. The questions are submitted just for us to see. Nobody else in this webinar will see it. We will respond to it broadly. We won't be mentioning any names, but please ask your questions now. I have done these webinars a lot and everybody has the same kind of questions. So feel comfortable with the question you're asking. I'm sure many others will have it as well. If you could also list your major as you respond, that will help to know if Judy or I should be the one to maybe take the lead on it. So let's get those questions rolling. I see a few that are in right now, so let's do it. I'll take the first one. Can you tell me what TH means on my schedule? This is a good question. You'll notice on your schedule, when you look in Point Web, you'll see the class, the title, the instructor, the days, the times, location, things like that. The TH stands for a Tuesday and a Thursday class. A lot of students think the TH is for Thursday, and that's not a bad guess, but here at Point Park, TH means a Tuesday and a Thursday at the designated time that's on your schedule. Just to kind of jump ahead of this, I'll give a couple other weird coding on your schedule that you might see for days and times. So TH is Tuesday, Thursday. H is just a Thursday. T is just a Tuesday. And then the rest are pretty self-explanatory. You'll have MW for Monday, Wednesday, just an M for Monday, just a W for Wednesday, things like that. So great question. Thank you for it. Let's go to the next one.
I did want to add something though. I want students to check their schedules in Point Web through the summer because things may change. A section may change, a location may change. And so just because, we try not to mess with it too much, but depending upon, class size, that kind of thing, we may make adjustments. So make sure that you're checking in periodically. Sorry, Angela.
No, it's a good point, and really something we should reiterate is at this point, you're a Point Park student, so it should be second nature to be checking your student email and be ready to hear from us. And when you hear from us, it's usually pretty important. We've got something to talk about and action for you to take. So get into the habit now of seeing and hearing from us. This question is, how good are the IT and graphic design courses? Well, the graphic design courses are not within our area in the School of Business. School of Com, I believe, is who takes on graphic design.
Yes.
And I think the School of Communication and the graphic design programs are excellent. Graphic design is a cool industry right now. I can speak to the IT a lot better. It's referred to now as computer science, IT, same thing. The computer science programs at Point Park, I think, are fantastic. This is the future of a lot of companies and businesses. Really, at the end of the day, higher education has an IT department. Hospitals have an IT department. Businesses have an IT department. Every entity needs an IT person or people, right? So I'm a big fan of it. It's fast-paced. It's rapid. You have to think on your feet. Every day is going to be different. But me personally, I'm a techie kind of guy. I don't know if you're picking up the vibes in the background here, but I think that Point Park excels very well in the computer sciences. Judy, I'll let you take this one since you kind of already touched on it. Where can students see their schedules?
Well, we sent out emails, and if you didn't receive one by chance, then please reach out to either me or to Angelo. But it talks about how, in that email, it talks about how to access your schedule, and you'll see your schedule in Point Web. So please reach out if you're having some kind of issue with viewing that or what have you.
I also wanted to add that in those emails, there are a couple of surveys that we ask incoming students to take. Really important that you get those done as soon as possible. We will be using those to make sure that you receive the writing support that you need. They give us a lot of valuable information about students and help us to kind of think creatively about the best ways to support our incoming students. So if you haven't done those surveys already, again, please make sure to check your email and go ahead and do those as you view your schedule as well.
Thanks,
Yeah, while
Molly.
we're talking, oh, I'm sorry, Angela, go ahead.
Oh, it's you.
Well, talking about schedules, people always end up asking, well, how did you create my schedule? How do I get my schedule? How, why am I in those classes? And I just want to say that we create the first semester schedule for incoming freshmen based on the sequencing from the faculty in your department. So the faculty in your department have kind of laid it all out to us in what order they want you to take classes. And so we're just following that. Now it's pretty, well, it's kind of rigid for that first semester. There's just certain classes that you have to take. Everybody, and no matter regardless of major, everybody is taking either English 101, English Comp, or Com 101, oral communication. So you'll take that your first semester, and then you'll take the other one the second semester. Everybody is taking the University 101 class, which is kind of like a freshman orientation class. And then the rest is pretty much laid out by the faculty in your department, usually intro classes to your major, and then maybe a core class or two. Next time for the spring semester, you'll be able to, you'll still have to follow the sequencing, but there'll be a little more flexibility on the courses that you're able to choose.
Judy, you're on a roll, so I'm going to let you keep on this roll for a little bit with this question. It's in a similar vein. How many classes do I take every semester? And can I add more if I want to minor or double major?
Absolutely. That's a really great question. The minimum usually is 15 credits a semester that will lead you to a timely graduation. Now, if you're going to minor or you're going to double major, then you're certainly going to want to take up to 18 credits. Anything between 12 and 18 credits is considered full-time. So you'll want to take up to 18. If you're double majoring, you may want to consider some summer classes just to help you get through the extra classes. So 15 is average, 18, lots of folks handle 18 credits as well. So.
Thank you, Judy. I'll take this next one. When can we register for freshman orientation? The best way that I can give you this information is by providing the link, I would assume. Molly, maybe you know better. I think that it's open right now to start registering for orientation.
The link should be open because our freshmen are starting to come out of the senior sweep, the prom and graduation and graduation parties. So this is when you'll start to hear more from us related to next steps at Point Park. One thing that I also wanted to kind of put out there, I know that we have some families that have joined us as well. We do accept courses. We have articulation agreements and relationships with local community colleges. If you are out of state and there's a community college by your home, we can take a look at those. You can take 2 classes over the summer. So we just want to make sure that you take those courses that will be brought back into Point Park and will count towards your degree. So we understand that helps to make education a little bit more affordable. But we want you to be aware kind of going into this, and we'll talk about this again in the fall as you register yourselves for the first time. But we want you to be thinking about and knowing what's available to you to help you and your family to cut down on costs by using your summers wisely, or doing things like adding extra minors or double majors is another affordable way to do that as well.
Judy, this is going to go to you. This student is part of the SAEM program. They're wondering about the Pittsburgh Center for Sports Media and Marketing and how they may be able to get involved with that.
I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. If you would email me, I will get you that information. I'm sorry.
Thanks, Judy. And hey, I think that that's what's good for everybody here to know is that we really are your liaison at the school for everything, but we don't necessarily know everything. But what we're really good at is directing you to the right people who excel at what they do and specialize in what they do. And I think that that's really important. So always reach out to us with questions. If we're the right people to respond, we will. If not, we'll get you to the right people. To the student who asked that question, I just responded to you privately with Judy's email. And I also posted all 4 of the emails of everybody who's on this call today into the chat. So feel free to reach out to us with any questions.
Thank
Judy,
you,
this is going
Angelo.
to-
That was a nice save for me that you just did. I appreciate that.
You're welcome. Judy, I'm gonna share the love back to you. This is another question from an SAEM student. Is there any additional cost for adding a minor to your schedule?
There is not, because there is room for you to add. Traditionally, minors are about 18 credits. So if you decide fairly early on that you're going to do a minor, then as long as you're taking the 18 credits each time, you know, like your 15 credits towards your major and then that extra minor class or however, and we can help you work that out. It will not cost you anything. There is no extra cost for a minor.
Thank you,
Most
Judy.
students, again, those are really, we like you to come to campus. We register for you for your first schedule because we want you to get settled and situated and on track within the major. So a lot of those conversations about kind of adding things and what are the additional opportunities that you can have as you work towards your spring schedule. And you meet with your coordinator, those are things that you definitely want to raise and get on our radar, that those are options that you want to explore, because again, we want to make sure that you can do that within your full-time tuition. So we don't like, to the extent possible, for you adding on any additional time or financial commitments to the university. So we really want to make sure that you're able to do that wisely and within the space that you have within your schedule. Yes, Judy.
I did want to add, thank you, Molly. You said something that reminded me of something. Almost every major has elective credits. So if you are thinking of doing a minor, like say your SAEM, well, you have 9 credits worth of electives that you have to satisfy anyway. So you can do 3 classes that will satisfy the major with the minor classes, and then you only have 3 to 4 other classes that you have to satisfy for the minor. So see, it is very, very doable. Okay.
Awesome. Thank you, everybody, for that. Let's see. I'm going to answer this next one. I have a question about balances and can a payment plan be set up? You're going to want to get in contact with student accounts and financial aid to assist with that. This is one of those examples where we're going to get you to the people who have that kind of insight and expertise. In the chat, I listed the website to student accounts. I also provided emails for student accounts and financial aid. I would reach out to them for more information there. I'm going to continue with this one student who's asking a few questions here, and I appreciate that. First of all, they're coming from Jamaica, so that's awesome. Thanks for coming all the way to Point Park. We're excited to have you here. Will textbooks be required to be purchased? I think every success advisor has a similar approach to this, but here's mine, and then I'll let Judy, take it the way that she does. I recommend students wait until they get their syllabus or as close to that time frame as possible to see A, what books are even required, B, are they even really required? Like, I would even reach out to the instructor and confirm to them like how much they're using the textbook. Sometimes instructors will print them out or provide a PDF. They'll use open educational resources. So similar to what Molly was saying earlier about like, hey, if you could save some money, that's kind of my approach here. I would recommend reach out to the instructor, look at the syllabus and see before you go crazy and buy hundreds of dollars of books. Anybody else have a different opinion than me?
Yeah, I would just say as an additional resource, contact the library, because Molly, don't they have copies of every textbook, and you can make copies of what you need? Or I think they even offer a service where they do it for the students.
Yeah, they do. So there are a number of textbooks that they will have on reserve at the library. You aren't able to take them out per se, but they have scanners on deck, so you can scan them into PDF documents and then just send them to yourselves and have them at your disposal. Through the pandemic, they were actually doing that scanning service for students just to minimize contacts, but it should be set up going into fall that you all will be able to scan your own textbook. So those are some resources that are available. One suggestion that I often make to students is just to ask an instructor if it's okay for you to get an older version or an older edition of a textbook. Sometimes it's a difference between, saving $100, and the only difference between one text to the next is like the style of someone's shirt. So definitely communicate with your instructors. They'll let you know what's acceptable and what's not. But that's one of the ways that I've saved a lot of money in my own studies is just by using editions that are a little bit older.
I agree. I think waiting until you get the syllabus for your class and talking to the instructor to see what he or she is recommending.
It's so easy to get them electronically or have them, sent through Prime, so it's not like, you're hung up. They usually will introduce the course in your syllabus and how the course is laid out in that first section anyway, so there really typically isn't much lag between that first day and your first assignment. You usually will have your books well in advance of that.
All right, thanks everybody. I'm going to take this one. Are the lessons in a classroom instruction or also online? And I'm sure Molly might want to dive into this a little bit, but really, Point Park's heading back to a standard kind of format. There always were online classes at Point Park pre-pandemic, and there will continue to be that after the pandemic. The big thing that I just want to really say here, and then I'll let Molly probably take a little bit of this too, is look at your schedule first and just even see what you're scheduled for, right? The big way to tell the difference between if you're in a classroom or online is a classroom will have a day and a time and a location to where you're going. Our online classroom structure, I would say 100% is asynchronous. I don't know any really that are synchronized at this point. So, the online stuff, there is not a day, there is not a time that you meet. It is asynchronous. You're holding yourself accountable and going with the flow of the class week by week. You could tell again on your schedule by looking to see the day and time. Molly, is there anything else you want to add in regards to the online and format options?
Yeah, so we usually don't encourage freshmen to enroll in online courses, typically, unless there's some sort of extenuating circumstance where it works, an accommodation or some sort of extreme scheduling sort of situation, because they are challenging. There's definitely this sense of you have to make sure that you're cognizant of due dates and how long submission windows are open, etc. But there's also quite a bit of outside of classroom reading and preparation that you would typically be experiencing when you're inside the classroom. So we don't recommend it typically for freshmen. That's not to say that there won't be those elements within your courses, and that's really what we're hoping to prepare students for. So I have been hearing quite a bit from faculty that there are situations where having a live stream or remote setting is better. So for some instructors, just being able to see everyone as participants in a situation like this through a discussion has been a really great experience. So I know that, for example, in literary arts, they want to continue some of that, especially if we can't do things like move the desks and chairs around. It's really hard to have a discussion when you're not able to kind of sit in a circle and see everybody that's participating. So there will be elements of remote and online instruction. You should be anticipating those within your coursework, but classes that are wholly online or wholly remote in your freshman year is probably going to be an exception rather than the norm.
Thanks, Molly. I'm going to take this one real quick. It's not really a question, but somebody was mentioning that they have a student that's an athlete. So I just want to reference, there's probably a lot we could reference with athletes, but just something brief is, number one, when we scheduled you, if you were officially on the team, listed on the team, we would have scheduled around your practice schedules. You are excused for your competitions. And I know a lot of students, they still want to be there in the classroom. So I even say to my students, if you notice on your schedule, number one, that I accidentally scheduled you during a practice, please reach out and let me know so I can resolve that. Number two, again, your competitions are excused, meaning that if you have a competition, you have a class, the instructor should be working with you. But my students tend to still like to be in the classroom. So if you're noticing that your competition schedule is going to conflict with a class that you'd prefer to be in class for, let me know and I can see if there's a different time frame so we can get you into that class. You're not missing it. Judy, do you want to add anything in that regard?
I don't. I mean, I do. Maybe I do want to add something. So you are excused for competition, but that does not mean that you don't have to do the work. So you'll be working with your instructor for some kind of alternative assignment or something, or maybe extended time to get whatever work is required done. So just because you are in competition doesn't mean that you're excused from, you might be excused from being on ground that day, but you're not excused from the work itself.
Thank you for clarifying that. That's a very important clarification. Yeah, the work has to be done. And again, that's why a lot of my students like to be in the classroom, so that they're not setting up these alternative assignments and stuff. They're not missing some of the instruction. And sometimes it's inevitable. And that's why student athletes are, held to this high standard, because you have a lot to do. Anybody else want to add anything?
I'll add a little bit to that. They do have, so you'll have a student athlete orientation, and they have some forms that they provide that help to kind of navigate that practice and game conversation with your faculty members. So it's really important that they're aware at the start of the term. So your faculty are really students first. The majority of them, there's always an outlier, but the majority are really pro-student, pro-supporting all of the things that help you to pay for college, and that are the reasons that you attend college. But there is a respect and a courtesy that's involved, and for you to show and demonstrate a level of responsibility by letting them know, giving them a heads up of what your moves are going to be. It always is favorable for the student athlete. So it's always a good idea for them to kind of understand what they're dealing with up front, for you to make those introductions. You never know, one of them might have been a student athlete themselves. So it's a good place for you to build rapport and to really present yourself as a responsible student. And I would say that for everybody, the more that you can kind of have those casual conversations before, after class with your faculty member, the more successful you're going to be, and the more likely you are going to be connecting to their professional networks and all of the people that they know when you go to ask for a recommendation and get a job. So keeping open lines of communication with your faculty is extremely important in terms of your success. We also have other ways that we monitor how students are doing in their classes. So we have an early alert system that we don't use as Big Brother, but we do use as a way for anybody on campus who has a relationship with a student to submit some sort of concern that they have about a student. If your grades are dipping, if you haven't been to class, if it just seems like maybe your disposition has changed a little bit, then it signals to us that we should follow up and get you connected to the resources that you need. So we have a really wonderful system in place that helps us to kind of connect and communicate across campus and get students connected to the resources that they need, whether it's mental health, student health, tutoring, academic coaching, whatever the resource might be. It directly connects you to the person that can be of assistance. So that's something that's also available. We do also have a couple of initiatives. We check attendance through faculty. We also check midterm grades and connect you to the support resources that you need at midterm. So we are constantly monitoring and tracking that students are doing well. But we also know that that's a responsibility that we need to help students to develop. So when we reach out to you, don't hide. We're certainly not. We're not here to get you in trouble in any way. If we're reaching out to you, it's because we want to help. That's what we do. We're helpers.
All right, I will take this next one. Is there an extra fee for the Pioneer Experience Days? I'm reading this verbatim from the website that I'm going to put in the chat. The orientation fee for first-year students is $250. The Pioneer Experience fee is assessed upon course registration to the student's tuition bill. So I'm just reading that from the website. I would recommend, though, you go to the link I just posted. You can see frequently asked questions and a lot more information on dates, times, what to wear, IDs, things like that. This next question, there's a million ways to answer because there's a million options here. So I like this question. Any advice on parking if you drive into the campus for classes? So let me start here. I think that like all of us have a different way that we get on campus, like between the four of us sitting here. So like for me, I'm coming from the airport area, so I drive. Me personally, I park at Station Square. There's a couple different lots. The lowest one is $8 currently. The highest, I guess it goes up to maybe $10 or $12. You have a short little walk over the Smithfield Bridge. I'll tell you, in the winter, you are feeling alive by the time you're getting to campus. It's a quick 10-minute walk though. And so that's the way that I go about it. It's nice and easy. You can get passes so that you can have an actual pass and come and go if you need it. So that's kind of how I go about it, but I'll turn this over to a couple others on how you guys maybe get down or would recommend it.
I take a bus because I'm a chicken driver and I'm just way too nervous to make that trip back and forth every day. So I do the park and ride thing. I live out in the East area. And so that's how I go about that.
Michael, you do the same thing?
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, I didn't know if Molly was going to go. I fluctuate between driving in and then, paying $10 at Mom Wharf, but that's probably the cheapest and closest to the university, and taking a bus. One thing you could do, I don't know if the student's local or from the Pittsburgh area or is moving, you might find a sweet spot somewhere where you could park for free and then take a bus the rest of the way. But I wish I had, when I lived in DC, I had the sweetest spot that my superintendent put me onto. It was like a little bat cave. And I've never been able to replicate that experience in Pittsburgh. But
Molly, what advice do you have, if any?
Yeah, so not a lot of students that are living on campus, first of all, bring a car. So if you're coming in from out of town or out of state, I would discourage it. So I think most students that have cars are those students that are living off campus. I have one of those secret bat caves.
I was like,
that I won't tell anybody about.
I didn't want to out you. Yeah. Hey, for a fee, I know the place. No.
No, but I walk. So I have a secret bat cave spot outside of the city. I live relatively close to the city, so from my house it's walkable or bikeable. And I also would say that there are tons of bike paths and bike lanes that cut across the city. The city has become much more bike friendly. Since I was giving Judy heart attacks biking in from all sorts without a helmet. So it's definitely much more bike friendly. There are plenty of ways to kind of get in. There are also kind of like bike share stations that you can rent a bike and cruise all around the city for various fees, or scooters are even kind of growing in popularity. But yeah, it definitely adds up. For commuter students, we also register our commuters before we do resident students, because we are sensitive to the fact that it's costly, and we want to stack classes on 2 or 3 days as much as possible if that's what students are amenable to, just because of the cost of commuting to campus. We want to make sure that we help you to minimize those costs by making an efficient schedule for you.
Don't plan on parking at a meter. Because I think they're $1 for 15 minutes.
It may be more than that now. It's pretty bad, but there's some nuance. On a holiday, usually you don't have to pay at the meter after 6 o'clock. So if you have a night class, you don't have to pay at the meter. So you'll start to figure out, and you'll talk to other students and see. And in the same vein as Molly was kind of talking with the bikes, the last time I checked, the student center rents out bikes to students with a student ID. So you can even rent a bike out for free from the student center and cruise around that way.
Is the shuttle? Are they going to have a shuttle in the fall? No.
So the shuttles do go to shopping venues. So you can go to the waterfront on a shuttle, or Whole Foods, Trader Joe's, Target. So they do run those consistently on the weekends, and I think 1 or 2 nights during the week, so that students are able to kind of go down there and do any shopping that they want.
All right, let's get to this. Molly, I'm going to toss this one to you. Who do I contact if I need accommodations in my classes?
Yeah, so we do have an office of equity and inclusion, and part of their purview is accessibility services. So the way that accommodations work at the college level, you do need to provide documentation that you have been diagnosed by a current medical practitioner, and they should also make recommendations as to what supports you in managing whether it's a mental health concern, if it's a physical disability, whatever it might be. We can provide really many of the supports that you might have received in your K-12 experience. So if it's extended test on exams, or assignments, if you need flexible attendance because of a chronic illness, those are all sorts of things that we can put into place. Everything is confidential, so your instructors will never know what your diagnosis is. Only the person who her name is Amanda Avampato, who writes the accommodations, will know what your actual diagnosis is. So that's never disclosed to your faculty member. They'll only know those supports that help you to be successful in their class. The accommodations only last for one semester, so you do need to go in and apply. You don't have to do the application process. Once you're approved, but you do have to release those accommodations to your faculty member via email each and every semester. So I think that that's probably one of the biggest stumbling points for students, is that they might register and have their accommodations in place for that first semester and then forget that they need to go and submit those going forward. And so it often leaves students without support. One other common approach that students make is to think that, well, it's a new chapter in my life, or I'm coming from a different school, I want to try this without the supports that I had in high school. And we often find that those supports really do help students to be successful, and so that we end up trying to kind of get them signed up for services later in the semester. Well, sometimes the damage is already done. Accommodations aren't retroactive, so they really only go into place at the time that you hit submit. So if 5 or 6 weeks have passed before you send those accommodations out, you might find yourself in too much of a hole to kind of recoup and right the ship. So we ask that you do that early. You can always choose not to use them. You can always, say, I didn't need any extra time on this assignment, so you don't ask, you don't accept those accommodations. But it is way more helpful to have them in place and not try to kind of back in and retrofit things after the time has passed.
Thanks, Molly. If you are an athlete, Molly, maybe you know the answer to this one. If you are an athlete, do you need to go to both the athlete orientation and the new student/transfer student orientation?
Yes, totally different information. So the student athlete orientation is going to cover all of your responsibilities and eligibility requirements as a student athlete. So they have their own set of, rules and policies that student athletes have to kind of live by and be aware of, so that they remain eligible. That's much different information than you'll receive during the regular freshman or transfer orientation, which is much more comprehensive and about all of the other services that are provided by the university.
Thanks, Molly. We got one last question here, and then I'm gonna give kind of like a last call for questions. Somebody asked about student organizations. So what I did was I posted a link in the chat. There's a ton. And I definitely recommend getting involved. When I look back to my undergrad, some of the most fulfilling experiences were the things that I did outside of the classroom, extracurricular, being a part of different groups and clubs. So I definitely recommend it. What I also really love about Point Park's club structure, organization structure, is if you see that there isn't something that you'd be interested in, if there's an area that you think should be having a club or a student organization around it, you could reach out to Rachel Phillips, I believe is the individual, and you can find their information on the website and the link that I posted. But you can even take this initiative and create your own student organization that revolves around something that interests you and get students to buy into it. So lots of cool opportunity there. So here, as we're at 10 minutes left to go in this webinar, I want to give a last call for any final questions. As you're thinking of these final questions here, I want to mention that at the end of this webinar, when you go to exit, There's going to be a survey that pops up. It's literally 3 questions. If you could please fill it out, we'd appreciate it. It really helps us to do better for the next time. You can also ask any additional questions. Maybe you didn't want to ask something here today in the webinar, that's fine. If you ask it in the survey after, we will reach out to you and we'll give you a individualized response. So this is the last call for any questions. Let's see what we got. I don't know the answer to this, but I'm going to put it out to the group. Given a scholarship, if you're given a scholarship, I think there's probably a lot of nuance to this. If you're given a scholarship, what are the grades that need to be maintained?
Yeah, so that
Typically,
really,
isn't it 3.0,
yeah,
Molly?
it depends on what the scholarship is. So it really is specific. If it's an athletic scholarship, it's contingent really upon you being eligible and able to participate. So anytime that you drop below those eligibility requirements, there's a risk of you also losing your scholarship as well. There are some, if they're an academic scholarship, there are typically some GPA requirements. So it's really dependent upon which of the scholarships that you're speaking to. I know in the conservatory, they have minimum GPA requirements of a 3.0 for their students. So each one is kind of specific to a major department or, area of participation. Yes, Judy.
I just wanted to add for the sports, art, and entertainment management, it's not a scholarship or anything, but there is a GPA requirement. You have to have a 3.0 GPA in order to do your internship, which is a required class in the program. So you have to complete an internship, and you must have the 3.0 in order to do that. So just keep that in mind. Because it's kind of hard to, I know the first semester it's kind of difficult maybe to settle in and to get with the program and everything, but you want to do your best all along, just so that you're not trying to, you're not scrambling trying to raise your GPA at the last minute, because that's kind of hard to do. Okay.
Awesome. This next question I will take. When will we find out about our roommate? This is definitely a student life question. And so what I'm doing is I'm posting a link in the chat right now that will give you all the contact information for student life. In addition, you'll be able to see via this link the different residence halls and some of the different nuances with that part of your, coming into Point Park.
You could roughly expect to be assigned at the end of July. They accept kind of applications and deposits into the beginning of July, and it takes them a couple of weeks then to kind of get everybody paired up. They do provide that information. Students tend to, coordinate via social media and connect in all sorts of different ways. So it feels less strange when you show up to campus and are sharing a room with somebody you've never met, like we did.
In the old days.
Yeah.
All right, so as I'm looking in the chat right now, I believe we've gotten through every question, so that's awesome. With 5 minutes to go, this is the final call for any last questions. If you do not have any other questions, then at this point, I would say you're good to go to exit the webinar. But remember to complete the survey on your way out. So team, why don't we say our final thoughts as we sign off?
Yeah, I want to thank everybody for being here. Please, if you have any questions or your parents have any questions throughout the summer, reach out. We're around, we're here, we're happy to help. We know that there's a lot of information coming at you from all sorts of different offices. So again, as we said earlier, always use us as a place to go when you kind of don't know where to go. It's hard when you don't have the kind of relationships that you're used to at your previous institution or at your high school. So make sure that you use us as your resource. That's why we take the time and introduce ourselves over the summer, because if there aren't already, there will be a lot of questions that kind of crop up as you get closer to the semester. So we're happy to be there. We're happy to help.
Michael.
Yeah, I'll just say thanks for coming today to this informative webinar. I hope it helped you. I'm sure it did. And just to kind of reiterate what Molly said, we're here to help. So please reach out if you find yourself in need. If you're having trouble with the course, reach out to me, Tutoring Services, and we can get you hooked up with somebody who can work with you.
Judy.
Well, thank you all for coming. It's so nice to meet you all. And I mean, I recognize names and that kind of thing, but I'm looking forward to seeing you in the fall. And again, if you have any questions in the meantime, please email me. I'm happy to help, and be safe.
All right, and before I say goodbye, I'm actually ashamed of myself for not saying this earlier. I am big on people following us on social media. So the Center for Student Success has a Twitter, an Instagram, and a YouTube. So very quickly, our handles, I'm assuming the students here know what I'm talking about. The handle is at Point Park CSS on both Instagram and Twitter. Please give us a follow. We're always posting things for updates, and we even have a student assistant who works on our social media for Instagram. So you're getting a lot of cool student perspective. It's not just this stupid face on there all the time. So please give us a follow there. But more importantly, I'm pulling it up right now in the moment as I speak. I really want everybody to please go subscribe to us on YouTube. There's all kinds of videos on how-tos and different introductions, Q&As. So please take a moment to do that. It is now in the chat. All right, now I'm going to say thank you. Thank you, everybody, for coming today, asking your questions, but more importantly, just for taking this next step in your life and future to come to Point Park and work with us. I know I'm excited. Again, as you exit the webinar, please complete the survey, follow us on all the social media, and most importantly, make sure you have a good summer. We'll see you guys soon.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.